बोलो सद्गुरु शिवानंद महाराज के, स्वामी विष्णुदानंद महाराज के. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Sivaya. Good to see you all. So when I came to Kailas Center, Vijay said I should come here also. Then I saw the poster, it says Samvad with Prahlad. Sounded very heavy, So what are we doing now here? Are we question and answer or something like that? Huh? What are we doing, Surejji? Okay. Relevance of yoga and city life, right? So, what is city life? That's a good point to start. What is city life?
High-rise buildings, moving cars.
She said city is high-rise buildings, moving cars, and she said stress, busy,
pollution,
lack of time. I am trying to see one person. No time for yourself. Okay. I want to see one person who is happy being in city. You are happy, okay. Then when all this stress is there, first question that we need to ask ourselves is that why you want to be in the city. Okay. So that is a very hard question, right? You cannot answer because that is where we are. But then we know there is stress and we have the culture, basically there is some kind of togetherness and eating together or like doing certain things together takes us a long way not to get stressed because everybody is together in there. But now once again when it comes to everybody has a job, like some people start in the morning, some people start in the evening and kids go to school, it is very little time that we get to be together. And whatever the stressful that environment that we are in, we need to go through somehow. And that is where yoga comes quite handy. Yoga is not asking you to run away from your families. Yoga is not asking you to quit your job to find the peace. Yoga is actually more needed for us than the yogis that are in Himalayas. You understand? But the only problem what we have, like all the excuses what like we give just saying that I don't have time, we don't find time to do yoga. If you are doing it like every day, an hour or 90 minutes of yoga, we don't feel stress at all. Why? Because the body when it is going through the stress, Yoga Asanas gives the solution just saying you can move the stress out of the body by stretching a little bit. Maybe you may not be completely successful, okay? Your asanas are different than her asanas and your asanas are different than his asanas, but that is not the point. But each time when you are in the class, the amount of exercise what you do is in return bringing plenty of oxygen in. When oxygen goes, there are two things that is happening. Your blood gets purified, lot of oxygen when it is mixed, oxygenated blood flushes through the system. And second thing on the mental side, mind side, when you see the more fresh oxygen that you take, the more the brain started seeing the things clear, which is true, right? Okay, let us say if you are in a closed what you call like room and working for several hours, you feel completely depressed. Is that correct or not? It is not the work that is making you depressed because there is no oxygen. What the yoga asanas does mainly, all the pranayama and yoga asanas, they bring tremendous amount of oxygen. Okay. Now, and then going into relaxation, this is very, very powerful. It is powerful than the meditation. Okay. Meditation is a luxury in the city life because you have a lot of noises where you live, maybe when you come to the yoga center it is different. Okay. And then the family itself, the kids are doing that, and in the family some like somebody was watching TV, just sitting and meditating becomes difficult. But even when you lay down in front of the TV, relaxation is easy if you understand, if you master it. Okay. The yoga started in India, which we know. Okay. See, ancient scriptures are all like saying yoga is our strength, but unfortunately we did not take into our daily life. Okay. Right now, you have the whole day you work, okay, and like night you sleep, morning you take a shower, correct? Of course, you wake up and you go to the work, that is different, but you take a shower. Why do you take a shower? Because you feel the body is dirty, is that correct or not? On a daily basis, there is a lot of stuff that is going into the mind and we are not finding the ways to clean it or wash it, and the yoga does it actually. Each time when you practice the yoga, whether it is pranayama, whether it is meditation, whether it is yoga asanas, what it is doing, basically it is washing. Okay? It does not mean that it is not going to get dirty again, it does. But if you have like a clean body every day is different, otherwise you take a shower once in a week, you start stinking yourself. Is that correct or not? Okay? That is what the yoga is doing. Try not to put like big goals there. Okay? So, the way that yoga need to be approached is same way that I have taking a shower or brushing my teeth is my daily activity. It need to go into a daily routine. Try not to do like a separate thing. Okay? And some of you might ask, where do I find time? And I tell you, what time you wake up? What time you wake up in the morning? 4:30 in the morning. That's too early. Okay, so no, I'm just kidding. That's a good time to wake up. But most of us, when we see what time we go to bed normally, 10, 11. Okay, and what time you wake up? 5:50, right? Now, the weather in India, that's a good boon that we have. Okay, if you get up a little earlier, you are not going to get tired. Even if you take half an hour in the morning just to do your meditation and pranayama, and then evening when you come back from office, do a little bit of stretch 45 minutes, then you have your practice. You see, instead of just saying, I need 1.5 hours, I need to go to the yoga center, I am giving you the time right at home. That is important. I am not asking you to come to the center, because when you come to the center, you have the group, that is very, very important. But every day when you cannot come to the center, it is not an excuse that I cannot practice. Okay? Try to like split it into, if you have like really busy life, if you are getting up very early and going. But if your lifestyle is saying like I get up like 6 or 7 in the morning, try to make it a little earlier, finish the whole practice, then the so called stress what we are talking, which is outside, does not come inside. Is that clear or not? Because stress outside that we cannot change. Okay, let us say hypothetically speaking, we are all practicing yoga, then we go to old Delhi. So, when we go to old Delhi, we are practicing yoga, nobody else. Okay? See the life, we don't want to call it even stress the word. Okay? Life is going in its own pace. Okay? Nobody like have an idea of how the stress is building, but knowingly or unknowingly it is building up basically. And you go into that stressful environment, how do you take it is all up to you. It is not the stressful environment makes you stress, it is like how you take it. That is why you bring a yogi from Himalayas for example, and then you take him to like busiest market, he does not care because he is just walking without getting affected, and that is what the yoga teaches. Okay? Right now I can sit here and lament just saying I have a very stressful life, and the other one is I can have stressful life, I can remain there with a smile. It is not acting, like how you take is what yoga teaches. But if I am not practicing yoga, I will be feeling stressed. Okay, in an hour I have to catch the flight, then when I go there immediately I have to do the graduation, then next day morning I have to go. See, that thinking pattern is not there. What happens after 1 hour it happens, so you do not need to think about it now. Okay? And that is possible because of the regular yoga practice. And when you do, especially in the life like what you have, suburban cities, metro cities, where the life is not something that you can control, but you can control your attitude towards the life. Makes sense to you or not? Okay, that is important because it is not like, everybody has stressful environment. We are in India, we complain about that, and if she is coming from Germany, they have different issues there, and he comes from Uruguay, South America, different issues. It is not the stress is not there in one place and stress is there. Interestingly, if you go to Himalayas now, even if you stay in the cave, there is stress. Okay. So, 2 years ago I was in Himalayas, I was surprised actually. I was teaching the course and then I went to the cave, and when I am going to the cave, suddenly they just say that few days back one of the Swami or Sadhu, he has been arrested, and I say why he is arrested? Because they had a dispute on whose cave is that, they have a small hole there, and then one of the Swami got mad with another Swami, he threw him in the Ganges. So, he died and police came and arrested this one. So, do not say that there is no stress in Himalayas, there is stress. But if those yogis they realize that how to take that stress, okay, how not to fight with each other, they would have found the peace, and if you can do that right in the city like in Delhi, you can find the peace. The point here is that this is the very point I wanted to tell. Self-reliance is very important. Okay? Self-reliance is very important, yeah. Somewhere along the way you got a good advice, I agree with you. But in the first place, if you have the awareness of yourself in that same stressful situation where you are in, you had a way to help yourself, or rather you had a way to like counsel somebody else, because you did not have the awareness. Okay. So, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, when the yoga came here, that awareness started, we say, but yoga was there thousands of years, it is not now, it is here. Okay. I understand, but it is not the center that makes the difference, it is the practice that makes the difference. Okay. So, you can come to center, for example, right now I am sitting, somebody comes with a big problem, you probably can tell me, I can only give the advice, right, the work need to be done by you. Okay. So, this is what we need to see now. Okay. I am not against like you getting some guidance, that is not a problem, but when you do not have guidance, do not go for longing for that, that is important. This longingness, what happens, it makes you to fall into the false hands. It's always there in every field, right. I mean, you go to the politics, you have good politicians, bad politicians. You go to the engineering, you have good engineers, you have bad engineers. When bad engineers build, everything falls down. When good engineer build, nobody recognizes it, right. So, but it's normal. Okay. But here, if you know how to do some practices on your own, what is happening, I will explain to you. First, you started seeing what you are, like I was telling in the morning. If I am able to see what I am, first thing what I do, I started seeing what is in my family. Instead of just saying this person does not like me, or that person is abusing me, etc., I just started looking why that person is behaving that way. See where I am going here now with this, because I have a little bit of pulling back from the situation and started seeing why that person is doing that way, whoever it is, right. If I am able to do that, I do not become a victim there. Makes sense to you or not, how to take the stress, because the moment when I do not see that, I am a victim there, why me? That question is gone, because now I am looking at what else I can do for that person not to behave that way. Maybe genuinely I am doing something wrong. Okay. If I am doing something wrong, I change it so that I am not creating that irritation for the other person. Second thing, I am not doing anything, I am 100% right, but that person is basically after me. Then I come to karma. What do? Karmically, I have more strength, it is God is giving it to me, I will take it because I have the strength to do that, and I will accept it. By doing so, the other person do not have the stimulation, because you are not like fighting against that, you are not like lamenting, right. So, the person has to give up basically, whoever it is. Okay. Now, maybe she is talking about the family situation, we can take the office, it is the same story. Sometimes we do not like a boss, sometimes we do not like the environment where we work, because we are looking everything from our perspective. The moment when you start looking at that from the other perspective, it always helps. And I want to tell something honest. Now, you ask me to talk about how to tackle the stress in the metro city life, is that correct or not? That is the topic. But answer me, how to tackle the stress in the ashram life, where we have the Swamis, sannyasins, we have another teacher here, Ishvara. You have more stress than there than here actually, which you do not know. There is more stress there than here. But it is not to say that one place is better to take the stress, one place is easier. It is the frame of mind what you take is what it make, like everything becomes different. So, the frame of mind what I do most of the time in my personal practice, I constantly remember that I am practicing. Okay. Are you with me on this point? I constantly remember that I am practicing. Now, for example, you came for the morning satsang and you were in the yoga asana class, but during day, do you remember that you did that practice in the morning? Just a simple question, do you remember that? You go to the work, you forget sometimes. I am not saying whole day you do not remember, sometimes you remember, sometimes you forget. When you look at the stress is coming only when you forget. When you remember, there is no stress, because when you remember, you are cheerful. What it is, I did some practice and came, others did not. So, others can go the way that they wanted, but I can remain peaceful within myself. That does not mean that you are not socializing, you are socializing, but you know when to pull back. When everything is getting negative, you basically pull back. Okay. You understand this or not? I am coming to very practical level here. Stop blaming outside everything. Okay. Start seeing inside, what way that I can actually tackle that situation. The tools are within, and she gave a very good example. maybe she went through something like 15, 16 years, right? Suddenly she come to yoga and she find a way and she feels that strength, now she is talking about it. Okay? That requires a lot of guts, is that correct or not? Sometimes you go through something, you do not want anyone to know, but somebody to come on mic and say that I went through this, it takes a lot of guts. But how did she get it? Because she got connected to herself. Okay? You agree with me on that or not?
Sir, this is that when ladies are pregnant.
When ladies are pregnant,
yes, they should think about yoga asanas, because the developing child will also somehow he will also get that thing.
Yes, I understand. But we have a wishful thinking of how we wanted to live. It's called wishful thinking. Okay. If
the future generations will be much better.
If a lady is pregnant, if a man in the house wanted a peaceful life, it's always good to think about not just yoga, think about the scriptures and lead the life. But when we look outside, that we are moving away from the source. Okay? Not that sometimes you wanted, some people are like really wanted to like teach kids the Bhagavad Gita how to do like, and then teach everything right at home, what you think is right. But then you have the school, when you go to the school they have friends, they get into different habits. Okay? And if you see the scriptures, what she is saying, there are many references when the women were pregnant, they were left in the ashrams, or they had some scriptural reading, and the children who came before they are born, they know every scripture. It's a wishful thinking is there, but we don't need to go to that extreme. When we go there, we lose everything. Okay? What we need to do,
so we can follow it.
yeah, that's I am not saying not to do that, but when you cannot do, you don't need to say, okay, when I was small child, I did not hear any yoga, or when I was in my mother's womb, my mother was watching TV, that's why I became like that. That's another way of going into negativity. Okay? Whatever the life that we have, you can always find the peace the moment when you find a little time to understand yourself. Okay, that's my conclusion here, and otherwise it does not make any sense. I mean, if we can start from the childhood, how to mold it, if the things work, it is okay, but we have a lot of references. Actually, we have the children that they are born in the ashram, interestingly, and they grew up actually. Some families, they stay in the ashram, their family, children grew up, and we have a lot of those codes end up in the drugs. Can you believe it or not? A lot of those kids end up in the drugs. It's not like what you hear, but the constant vigilance about yourself helps you quite a bit. I am not against like saying, okay, if you have good family setup and if upbringing is nice, like up to 90% you are always good, there is no problem. But there is no guarantee though, there is karma, something that is coming. Okay? Its karmic debt is there, but how do you work on the karmic debt? There is one thing is that don't do anything, your karma takes, sometimes you go through some suffering, sometimes you go through some pain, sometimes you go through some depression. But second thing is, I am going to dictate my karma, I am going to change my karma, and that is possible when you understand yourself. Okay, let us say for example, karmically, you are supposed to jump from somewhere, you have a little bit of discrimination to pull back, by jumping you fall down and you hurt yourself or you die. So, you pull back. That pull back thing is coming because you understand yourself, right? And yoga is doing that. Whether you do meditation, whether you do yoga asanas, whether you do pranayama, you understand yourself. Okay? It's easy for me to say some philosophical things, just saying, come to the yoga center, go to the ashram, you practice, your life is okay. It is true when you are here. But when you go out of this gate, I know exactly what happens. Okay? Even for us, we got out of the airport, we are coming, there is lot of traffic. Does not matter how much patience you have, still a little bit of like agitation is coming, when do I get there, when do I start the class, etc. So, when you are living in that stressful environment, if you remember, does not matter even if I worry, traffic is going to go slow, it is okay, when I get there, and then I complete what I can complete, stress is gone here, you see. So, I am asking you to think, I am practicing, so I can pull back and think, and the people who cannot practice, they are going to go into the situation. When you get into the situation, let us say like 10 people are fighting, if you come back, there is a way to stop it somehow, and like you can diffuse it, but you also get in between 10 people, so they are hitting each other, you get hit basically, and that is what is happening with the stress. What yoga teaches is how to pull back from any stressful environment. Okay? It helps a lot, but going to an extreme practice and then trying to go another extreme like lifestyle just also creates too many problems. Okay? If we can mold it a little bit, just saying my other side of the life is too extreme, I need to find a middle ground there. And my practice is too extreme, I need to find a middle ground, that only can make us live in these plains or make us live in the cities like this. But if you go to one extreme, what happens? I get fed up with city and I just want to go, then you become Gautam Buddha. When you become Buddha is good, you find your peace, then what about your family? What about your people that are depending on you? You cannot dump it also and go there. If you want to do that, by all means please do that, there is no problem. Okay? But when you cannot do that, you also need to take the karma. Yoga says, like let us say you have the parents' responsibility that you need to take care, or you have children's to take care. Without doing that, if you walk away, you need to take another birth to finish it anyhow. So knowing that, why don't you complete it, do a little bit of practice and then find the balance there. How I stay sane most of the time. I don't think it is difficult. For me, always it boils down how you can watch, not to become a player. And yoga practice always makes you watch, And even if you forget sometimes, go into 1.5 hour practice and come back, you started seeing the same thing which was stressful in a different perspective. Okay? Example, right now in my family, suddenly my mother, father, they are like attacking me for no reason. Okay? I see from their perspective also there is no reason, for example, and I am staying there and my reaction comes, I am going to react. Is there any way, this is where I am looking at with my practice, is there any way I can at least go use the washroom and come back? By the time I use the washroom and come back, the whole tension in the atmosphere changed a little bit, correct or not? Then I have a different way to approach the problem. Make sense to you or not? Because see, if I do not practice yoga, what happens? They are shouting on me, I am shouting on them, and finally it gets into a kind of like big fight. And that big fight, what it does, maybe I win because I am right, but the problem, night when I sleep, I feel guilty about the whole situation, and to avoid that, I need to find a way. Either you do not need to go to necessarily washroom, but I take that space before I react, number one. Number two, if I do have to react and I see from other person's perspective, so my reaction is minimum. I am not giving like complete reaction, whereas I create the ripples of reaction. There is no end to that. Okay?
So at what level grhastha ashram ends?
I don't know. That is a very big question. I need to ask your husband whether he can let you end that grhastha ashram. Okay, I will tell you, according to the scriptures, it is like this. Okay, so we have a age of like up to 25, it is called youth. From 25 to 60 is the grhastha ashram basically. Okay, why? Because if you do not go into grhastha ashram, you can skip it completely, is no problem. But when you go into grhastha ashram, karmically you make kids and you create some karma. So until the kids go to university, that is your grhastha ashram basically. But if you continue after they get married and then you want to control their wives and their children or their husbands, etc., that is where grhastha ashram should stop. When you have that tendencies, like wash it and go to vanaprastha, which is going to an ashram or secluded place that you are not interfering in their karma. You are not interfering there.
At that I thought after marrying, getting my children married, I will not be a part of their life.
Yes.
I will lead my life and let them lead their life.
Yeah, everybody in this room thinking same way.
I should stick to that point. That is the main thing.
You do it, we will be happy. Okay, so if you don't do it, we will still be happy. Okay, so yeah, okay, yeah. It's it's like we all have these ideas and we think that that is the end of it, but we don't know what our karma says. But if you have the discrimination, that's where the scripture says to stop it. Yeah, but read all the scriptures, they just say where to stop it, So, but we don't have that strength to stop. That's why we just go into onto, and then finally kids don't want to look at us because we are trying to control too much. And there are people like they stay very peaceful until the last breath. Kids really love them. They don't interfere. They are still present there, and their presence is actually giving immense pleasure to the kids. Everybody want to be there. So it's not to say that one thing is good, but if all the people are thinking same way, if there is some basis for that, not just the yoga practice alone, there is some rituals or being together is continued. We see many people like even at the age of 1992, they are staying with the kids, everything is happy, kids are still coming and asking the advice, etc. And that's a graceful way of being in the grhastha life and then renouncing everything. And if you don't renounce, if you are in the grhastha life, you create your misery all along, and then nobody want to even see you. So you need to make a call just saying that, you know, as long as they are on their own, I am going to move on. Otherwise you continue, sometimes you die, come as a dog to take care of them, and come as a snake. It never ends, you know. You need to at some stage just say, okay, I need to find some peace, they are peaceful. Most of the time, see, we always have this excuse just saying, I am making all this for my children, which is good. But then once when you make all that for your children, then why do you need to like go through again for what? It is just to satisfy our own ego. I am not saying not to do it, including in our ashrams, our Swamis does keep on expanding. But at some stage, if you want to find the peace though, you need to just say, I did enough for my part, okay, for the community. This is time for me to like go into myself. At that time you go into the vanaprastha, and from there you go into the sannyasa renunciation. Scriptures are saying, if you can do that is good. If you cannot do that, by being right in Delhi, like, you know, in the what you call like the, you know, the complete busy place, you can still be peaceful. If you understand that stress outside is not going to affect me, that's all you need to say. Okay. If you have the constant vigilance, it's okay. But when that vigilance is gone, every now and then you fall into the trap, I fall into the trap. The only difference, if I am practicing it for many years, I know how to come out of it very fast. That's all. I don't stay for 2-3 days in that situation where I forget myself. Maybe a few minutes, 5 minutes I can come out. What I am saying is that I am talking to you very peaceful now. I have very stressful situation where I get really mad with someone. I do. But 30 years ago when I started my practice, when I get that I really want to take revenge on this person until he die, until they go to grave kind of thing, you know, that kind of like, you know, ego was there. Now it's not the case. I just say, what is the difference, you know, like in 5 minutes if I just say sorry, everything is gone, I don't need to live with it. Okay. So that pulling back is coming because of the practice. Make sense to you or not? Okay. You all agree with me on that or not? Suresh sir, you are always peaceful, right? You can also make a hell in your office exercising your power. Rather with your friendship you make everyone your own, then you have no stress, right? And how is it possible? Is because you are able to understand yourself, whether it is yoga practice or some other practice, etc. That is important, connecting yourself. If you don't know other things, yoga is the easiest thing to do. Okay? So you do like 12 basic asanas, you do a little bit of pranayama, little bit of meditation, then you have that peace. When you have the peace, your family has the peace. Your family has the peace, your community has the peace. See, that is how it goes. If your community has it, your city has the peace, right? If everybody is doing that, it is easy. If everybody is not doing, you need to remember, I am doing it. Then you are not calling other people are jerks. You rather say, I have the strength to help other people. Yeah. Is that clear to you? You said Yoga Asana class was good. Why was it good?
मैं अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताऊँ.
बोलिए.
सुरेश जी एक्चुअली मेरे बड़े ब्रदर के फ्रेंड हैं. इन्होंने एक दिन मुझे फ़ोन किया बोल रहे थे कि कल यहाँ द्वारका में एक योगा सेंटर है और कल मॉर्निंग में आ जाए. मैं कहा योगा सेंटर है, मेरे जैसा जो रात को 12 बजे सोता, सुबह 7-8 बजे उठना, मैं कहा अच्छा चलिए. मैं और मेरी वाइफ वेरी नेक्स्ट डे अर्ली मॉर्निंग 6 बजे. पहले तो वो सरप्राइज़ हुआ कि ये कैसे आ गया. मैं कहा अच्छा देखते हैं, जैसे और लोग कहते हैं देखते हैं क्या होता है. मैं कहा ये योगा है. और मैं कहा ठीक है, सुना हुआ था योगा करते हैं और सिर्फ एक्सरसाइज की, नॉट कोई मेंटली या क्या पीस होगा मुझे नहीं पता. मैं कहा चलो एक एक्सरसाइज करनी है, शुरू कर. शुरू किया. मैं कहा हफ्ता 10 दिन बिगनर कोर्स है, करेंगे चले जाएंगे. फिर मैंने चलो 1 महीना और प्रैक्टिस कर देते हैं. 1 महीना प्रैक्टिस किया. फिर मेरे को तो धीरे धीरे मॉर्निंग में उठ के आने की आदत पड़ी. उससे पहले मैं जब मैं मार्केट में, उसके बाद मैं 1 महीने बाद ऐसे मार्केट में जा रहा था, तो एक फुटपाथ है ऊपर काफ़ी, और मैं चलते चलते उस पर ऐसे चढ़ गया. तो मैं रियलाइज़ किया, मैं पहले जब चलता था और मैं वहाँ रुकता था और घुटने पे हाथ रख के उस पर मैं चढ़ता था. अब मैंने क्या किया, मैं गया और चढ़ गया. ये कुछ चीज़ तो है. तो अच्छा धीरे धीरे मैं प्रैक्टिस करता रहा. और काफ़ी चेंजेस आए, जो आप पेशेंस और शांत, मुझे मतलब मैं खुद को भी लग रहा है कि मेरे में बहुत थोड़ा सा दिमाग शांत, अभी भी है गुस्सा, मैं ये नहीं कहूँगा कि गुस्सा नहीं है, बहुत है गुस्सा है, पर पहले से बहुत कम है। मैं सिचुएशन को अच्छा छोड़ूं, फिर देखेंगे, जैसे आप कह रहे हैं कि उस सिचुएशन से हट जाइए, उसके बाद देखिए तो शायद बेटर फील करेंगे। तो अब वो मैं प्रैक्टिस करता हूँ कि ओके जाने दीजिए, फिर देखते हैं इसको। मुझे कई रिलेटिव या फ्रेंड्स कहते हैं कि तुम्हारा चेंज बहुत आ गया, शांत बहुत हो गया। मुझे नहीं पता, मेरे को नहीं लगा, बट सामने वाला मुझे जब ये कहता है तो मुझे लगता है कि हाँ मेरे में कुछ चेंजेस आ रहे हैं, और ड्यू टू दिस सेक्टर। और हाँ, योगा बहुत रेगुलर अभी हूँ भी, कई बार मैं काम की वजह से या टाइम की वजह से नहीं आ पाता यहाँ, बट जब भी आता हूँ या पिछले 2 साल से मैं आ रहा हूँ, मतलब मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा चेंजेस आने में लगे। स्ट्रेस से बहुत है, स्ट्रेस है, काम का भी है, फैमिली के भी होते हैं, हर जगह होते हैं, बट बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब 1.5 घंटा यहाँ है, मतलब कोई याद नहीं है कि मैं कहाँ हूँ, क्या हूँ, कौन, मैं ये सोच के यहाँ आता हूँ। इसके बाद मैं 1.5 घंटा कहीं नहीं सोचूंगा कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, इसके मैंने क्या करना है इसके बाद जाके। 1.5 घंटा यहाँ लगा। उसके बाद जब जाते हैं तो बहुत ज़्यादा चेंजेस हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा, मतलब क्या डिस्क्राइब नहीं कर सकता मैं अपने वर्ड्स की, क्योंकि मेरे वर्ड्स मेरे को कम ही हैं, बट बहुत ज़्यादा चेंजेस हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा।
Good. I'm glad about that.
और स्पेशली मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं इस सेंटर के, वी आर लकी, द्वारका में है तो ये हम लोगों के लिए ऐसे, अदरवाइज इधर उधर और करते हैं लोग, करते हैं जैसे भी जिसको जहाँ टाइम है, पर सही योगा करना हर रोज़ सीखता हूँ मैं। ये नहीं कि मैं 2 साल से आ रहा हूँ तो मैं परफेक्ट हूँ। रोज़ कोई भी टीचर बोलता है एक बार कि आप ये करिए, तो मैं कहता हूँ हाँ ये नया सीखा मैंने, ये मैं नहीं कर रहा था ना, अब मैं ये करूँगा। तो बहुत ज़्यादा, और प्रैक्टिस आप कहते घर पे शायद नहीं होता, मैं बहुत ट्राई किया है कि घर पे तो
You have your wife with you, so you can practice together, right? So
घर पे तो हाथ भी नहीं उठता, अगर घर पे तो एक बार सांस लेते तो चाय की खुशबू आती, कहते अच्छा फिर नेक्स्ट टाइम चाय पी लेते हैं।
but yeah, it's good, I'm glad, but you know what happens is that even if you're coming to the center after some time, what he's saying basically, like, you know, certain things that doing physically, like, you know, in order for him to climb up, sometimes he used to hold his knee. Since he started practicing yoga, now he's not. And what he's saying is that all this like yoga practice that Suresh brought him and he introduced, he wanted to do only for like 1 day, 2 day, then he continued, and since then his life is changed. It's a very good thing to know, but we need to continue. We don't forget that, that's very, very important. Okay. So city life, in my opinion, we are all in the cities because the karmically we have something that we need to finish. Our karma, you know, like bring us here. Maybe whatever the stress that you are going through, there are benefits that other people are, you know, reaping basically, but we are here. When we are here, we are not going to complain about that stress, we are going to take it out of the system, and for that the yoga practice really helps. Okay. So I wish that we can just take out all the people and take all these buildings, you can just stay here and meditate. I wish we can do that, but that is wishful thinking, it does not happen. It is not in Delhi, it is everywhere, same thing. Even the small villages where there you know, there was a lot of peace there also like everything is becoming like more and more like cement and, you know, like construction. As it is going, I think we need to bring more and more self awareness and practices that what our ancient people left into our life, and that makes us to live more peaceful life. It is not like a difficult thing to do, but we need to have a kind of understanding and just saying, okay, if me and my husband, if we find this peace, if you find the peace, let us bring it to our kids. Maybe they do not listen to us, but my part is to tell. Sometimes every parent wants the kid to become engineer or doctor, is that correct or not? Kid won't, but you do not stop your effort, you put it, and then if you can do with children, if you can do with your elders there, so there is a possibility for us to get rid of this stress. Okay. I am not saying that it is gone, but it is a possibility. So we need to put that effort there, you need to put the effort. And the way that you should be practicing is a kind of like tricky thing. See, mind is a very hard thing for us to deal with. Okay. So, it is like this, forget about coming to yoga. Every day you have a ritual, like for example 8 o'clock in the morning you have to go to the office. Okay. Let us say boss is not saying anything, one day it becomes 8:05, one day it becomes 8:10. That is the tendency of the mind. Okay. Always it finds the excuse to find something what you are willing to do something opposite. Okay. So, you want to practice and then the mind is rebelling saying tomorrow I want to practice. So, but just say that I am going to make a decision, every day I am going to practice. I am not saying which practice, whatever the practice you have. Okay. But then the days that when you do not have time, truly you do not have time at all, just take 5 minutes, go to one corner, do few rounds of Kapalabhati and say to yourself that I practice. You are not cheating, okay. You are just saying to your mind that I practice. So, tomorrow when you have to do actual practice, it is not going to give you the exercise, yesterday I could not practice. Otherwise, mind goes like this. If I miss a practice this week and I say okay, Monday I am going to start. Monday comes, there is a cell phone call, then you say it is not a good day, so let me start at the first of the next month, right or not. March 1st I start and then I will never stop. So, March 1st suddenly you have a travel that comes and you say 2013 is not good, 2014 January I start and I will never stop. Is that correct or not? I am talking very practical here, that is our mind, right or not. So, not to give the room for the mind like that, do a little bit of practice, then it is still practice. Why? Because you are not lying down sleeping saying that I do not want to practice. Truly you did not have time at all, you one after another, things were demanding your time, so there was no time. So, next day what happens when you get up, you have a peace with yourself, just saying okay, yesterday I truly did not have time, but I did one round of Kapalabhati. So, I did not have a break for my practice, so tomorrow I am going to practice again. It can be meditation, same thing, every day half an hour you are practicing, one day you do not have that half an hour, you do not need to lament, do it for 5 minutes and tomorrow when you want to do for half an hour, mind is not rebelling. Okay. These are practical tips. You ask me what to do in the city, you did not ask me what to do in the ashram, it is very easy, bell rings, go there, food is given, yoga asanas are done, etc. But we do not have that luxury, right. If she can do, she could have gone, but now she is talking about retirement, when I can take the retirement kind of thing, that means you have to be here. When you are here, you do not have the bell. So, you need to make that bell a routine in your mind, how you bring it. You agree with me or not? Definitely, right. Okay. So,
Whatever we learn, suppose I have knowledge of yoga, suppose another person has knowledge of something else, we do not want to share our knowledge.
why you do not want to share?
Not me, myself, generally people don't want to share. They think अगर उसको बता दिया तो उसको ज़्यादा ज्ञान हो जाएगा. स्कूल में ऐसे होता था, जैसे हम बहुत अच्छे नंबर आते थे तो या मुझसे अच्छी लड़की के नंबर आते थे, तो अगर उससे कुछ पूछते थे ना, वो बताती नहीं थी, और मुझसे मैं पूछता था तो मैं बता देती थी.
That's right, because see, when you were in the school, you want to get the first mark, you are not telling anyone. So life is coming and teaching you. They know something about yoga, they don't want to tell you. I'm just joking. Now look here. Once again, say I want to take some hints out here. You don't have a teacher, you don't have a yoga center. Can't you just buy one book like this? I'll tell you what to do with this book though. You buy this book, you have it in the house, and you come from office, something that you cannot solve, don't discuss with anyone. Open this book. You have the help right there. You don't need someone to share with you your knowledge. You understand? It is there. But problem is this now. A paragraph you can read, but we don't want to do that. We want someone else to read and explain. And this needs to stop. It's okay. When you have that explanation, it's okay. But certain things you need to figure it out. Otherwise, like I can explain about one page and I'm gone. What about the rest of the 400 pages here? Who is going to explain it? But if you can just open it, see, then you have the knowledge that if you really want to share, if you are sharing, and then you tell your people, your disciples to share it, and then it goes. Like for example, you come here and ask any one of us, we are not hiding anything, right? What we know, we tell. But we don't need to lament other people are not saying. It's okay if they want to keep it like a secret, they can keep. But this is not hidden. It's open. Any scripture you can take. Some Sivananda's books or some other Swami, they did not change anything. If it is the original scripture, you have the knowledge there. Okay, you keep it there. You forget about all the yoga practice, everything. Okay, and then you come from a stressful situation. You don't know anything about yoga. Open it, and you have a solution. I can guarantee that. Just read one page, you have a different frame of mind altogether. Okay. So for me though, like I have this attitude that because I used to be with my teacher very close, and then he left in 93. Okay, it's almost like 20 years now. He's not there. Am I lamenting saying that I don't have the guidance? No, the guidance, his teachings are always there. Just take them, and if it is working for me, it should work for you also. That's my belief. Okay. I am not saying that you should not have the guidance and somebody just guiding you. I am not saying. But when you don't have it, what do? We know the percentage of people practice yoga is 10%. 90% are not practicing. And if this 10% want guidance, where do they get it? All the 10% want, 90% is not practicing. Where do you get the guidance? Okay, you go and get the guidance, they just say, okay, let's go to the bar and drink and talk about it. But that's the very thing created the stress in you. You don't want to do that. You decided and you want to go something that teaches you to be inside, not to go outside, right? So the books are the best way. That's my suggestion. Okay, buy as many books as you can. It doesn't cost you, like nothing. Nowadays with the internet, actually, you don't need to buy anything, right? So everything is like open there. But stop looking outside for the happiness. Stop looking outside for the help. Everything is within. Okay, and that within, to realize, we need some inspiration, and that inspiration is coming from this book or that book, any book that you take. Okay, I am not talking about reading the novels and once again externalizing. The spiritual scriptures, they are there, you know that. You can contact the Gita Press and get all the original scriptures, and you all know Hindi, who can read the Sanskrit, it is easy to understand, that is not a problem. But otherwise take Swami Sivananda's books. Any small kid can understand, it is not like a difficult language.
So, but sometimes when we really want the guidance, we don't get.
No, sometimes when you need the guidance, it will come to you.
But it comes when the time comes.
I will tell a small story. This story I just shared with, I think she was still in ashram. Once upon a time, there was a person in a village. Okay, it is a western village, not Indian village. Okay. So, at some stage, through his meditation or by his guru's teachings, he is being told that when you are in difficulties, God will come. So, he prayed to the God, God came in his dream and he said, okay, when you are in difficulty, I will come and take care of you. He said that. Okay. So, then after some time in the village, there was a big flood that was coming. So, then when the flood is coming, there was an announcement say that everybody must evacuate. So, the guy told himself that I do not need to worry because God is going to take care of me. So, after some time the water started coming and like the whole village is flooded. Then the boat comes with a big speaker just saying, please get out of your house, everybody need to evacuate. Guy is still in the house and he says, God is going to come take care of me. So, after some time the water goes all the way to the roof, the guy goes and sits on the roof. So, now water is coming to the roof, but he is still on the roof. So, then there is helicopter come and it says, please come. He says, no thank you, go, I do not want to come. So, the guy is sitting, slowly water comes all the way up to here and he died. Then of course, you go to God, of course when you die you go to God, right. So, and he asked the God, like he is really angry with God. He asked the question, God, you said that when I am in difficulty you come, all this time I am waiting, you made me die, then I came, what were you doing? God says, you are stupid. First I came, I announced you need to get out in the form of announcer, you did not pay attention. Then I come in the boat, you did not pay attention. I come in the helicopter, you did not pay attention. Nobody can help you. You understand? So, when you need, your guidance will come. Which way it comes is not something like a yoga teacher is sitting here or like a Swami is sitting. It can come from your husband, it can come from your children, it can come from your grandchildren, it can come from your boss also. Okay? But we need to be open that it is coming. But sometimes we have this preconceived notion just saying there is somebody coming with these gold ornaments and going to give us this advice. That is a misconception. Am I right or not? Okay? Because see, sometimes guidance is coming. Okay? Maybe like as a husband and wife, when you cannot think she is coming, she is telling something like what you cannot do. Like for example, you are swimming, you cannot see what you are doing. But when she sits in the bank, she can see and she says, okay, you are doing this mistake, there is something is here, you move it, etc., etc. But if you do not understand that she is giving the guidance or like God is in her, it is a problem. Okay. When we find it, I think there is some solution. Okay. Actually, you stay in the center, do not go home because you are happy here. Okay. And tell your family that I am done. I am doing service for public, and then you are okay. You are an engineer, maybe that you can open some windows here, and this building we never had the permit, No, the completion permit we don't have it. I am giving you a job. Okay, finish and get us this completion permit so that we can put some rooms and get some other stuff here. Okay, so I gave you a duty now. Your grhastha is finished. You are in the vanaprastha now. That's it. Okay, so yes, sir.
So I heard you say that you've been practicing for 30 years. I started about 2 years back.
Yes.
So the question again comes to me again and again actually is that how do you, and I'm asking you because I've just started very recently, how do you push yourself out of a comfort zone? And is there a comfort zone which you see? Because I see you as somebody who's far away, who's learned so much and who's teaching. And I was doing the PDC last year, and I know you took the advanced teachers training courses. And a lot of people flock to courses where you're going. So is there a place where you still aspire to go to, and how do you push yourself to get there?
Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, when I answer that, Ishvara will be happy. Okay, Ishvara is with me for many years, and sometimes he comes and certain things I answer. I just want to say something. I don't know how you see me. What I see me, I always wanted the way that I came first day to the organization or first day to the yoga practice. I constantly remember that. I don't want to forget it. So that means I am never in my comfort zone. There is no such thing as comfort. Okay, so the people like Ishwar, they know, like most of the time, most of the things what I do, I go to the level where I started on my first day, because all this is illusion, I know. Okay, so like for example, I am this many years, maybe staff are giving me respect, etc. But when I get identified with that, that becomes my comfort zone. In reality, that is not my comfort zone. That's just illusion. Okay, that's very clear in me. And second thing, there is nothing for me to push. Okay, if I am needed somewhere, I am okay. If I am needed, if I am not needed, I am okay with that, and that helps me because there is no aspiration here. I don't want to become something. Okay, I just want to be helpful to people whatever the way that I can. Okay, so let's say I am supposed to teach a course. If somebody else is teaching, I know how to pull back, and no issue with that absolutely. To be honest, like from my heart, basically. Okay. And that made me stay for many years, because there is no way that like I am going to push someone or somebody is going to push me. Okay. And this in outside life doesn't matter, even if you are trying it, you need to go through a lot of humiliation. But if you have the ability to go through that humiliation, you are okay. And it does happen. Maybe you see me like this, and then suddenly I go into like some Swami, and he starts saying you are doing what you want, etc. He can say what he want to. It's not affecting me. And same way, like when 100 students clap, it doesn't affect me either. I am not saying I am saint. But in order for me to continue in my path, I had to choose certain principles for myself, and that helps me. And if you take some inspiration from that, and if you can apply to yourself, it can help in your work environment also. But when I become something, it's very difficult for me to come down. But when I am always staying down, there is no problem for me at all. I don't need to go up, you understand? I can stay where I am, it's okay. And that's the reason staff always react with me very easily, because I am not like imposing something. I show what is like good, how it is working for me. They take it from there, and then they pick it up, you see. But then they don't get identified with that power that comes with that. Okay, that helps me. Okay, is that clear?
So I'm hearing you say that maybe this understanding has come in later. So for someone who's just started,
it won't be. In the beginning, it won't be, to be honest, because for me it took many years. Even like if you look at me like 20 years ago, it was not the same. Okay, but over the period though, little bit improvement will be there. You don't become saint overnight, kind of thing. Little bit improvement will be there. But the struggle what I had in the beginning, like wanting to be recognized, created too much of suffering for me. But the moment when I let go, things happen. I am not saying it happens for good, but if it doesn't happen, I don't care either. You see, it's my attitude towards the thing that made me find my peace. Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to give illusion. The moment when you start thinking, it will be okay. So 2 years practice, if it brings you somewhere, if you just go into another 4 years, yeah, you find more peace there. But nothing is going to be overnight. There is going to be time. It's all your practice that makes you understand. But still, you need to have a goal though. What you wanted to do. My thing is, I just want to be with the people, and this is the best way I can be with people. And I don't want to be lazy. I'm always with people, right? In order for me to be with people, I need to be in the organization. It's my teacher's organization. Of course, there is a lot of politics there. There is a lot of other things are there. That's none of my business. I came here to be serving people. and that I can do if I am just not looking up there. Yeah, you agree with me or not? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's always like that, because I don't like say this 1.5 hour practice I need. Everything I do is my practice. Okay. I don't want to be like lying to you. This is what it is. Everything I do is my practice, because I am in the ashram. That's all I do. Nothing else. I don't need to count like how much pranayama, how much asanas. Anything that I do is my practice. Okay. But if you are outside though, you need to call something as your practice, because that's different world altogether. But I am in the ashram. See, I have the advantage as opposed to you. Yeah. Okay. It's good. On this side, no more questions. Okay. I answered you. Yes. Yes, sir.
How do you increase your prana?
Every day you need the practice, sir. You have a car, you have a scooter, you have a battery, you buy a new battery, put in the house, in 1 month it's gone. But put in the car, it goes for several years. Why? You recharge it every day. Is that correct or not? So we need to recharge. What recharges you can be yoga practice. What recharges you can be a puja. What recharges you can be a what you call a gathering with the family, etc. I don't know what is recharging, but you need to find that recharging for yourself. For me, yoga, asana, pranayama, meditation recharges anyone. But by sitting here, if I just tell that once again, like I am promoting the yoga center or yoga, but you need to find what recharges you, you need to do that. And if you don't do that, your batteries are depleted, correct? And there is nothing. It doesn't matter how much understanding you have, when the batteries are depleted, you go down. Yeah, make sense to you, sir? Yeah. Okay, that's good. On this side, anybody else here? Questions? I think we need to conclude right now. Is that okay, Suresh sir? Is that what you are expecting? I conclude with one thing. Our Swamiji said, health is wealth, peace of mind is happiness, yoga shows the way through proper exercise, proper breathing, proper relaxation, proper diet, positive thinking and meditation. If you can somehow integrate these 5 points into your life is peaceful, I guarantee that. Proper exercise. It's not just yoga, you need some exercise, just walking or like doing some exercise, okay. And Swami Sivananda said, it is okay to do the physical exercise along with yoga asanas. He never said not to do the physical exercise. If some of you are going to gym, don't stop it, do that, but still do yoga. Exercise is important for our body. If you don't exercise, the body parts don't function same way, okay, like recharging what we are talking here, okay. Proper breathing. As we know, in the stressful life like this, in the city life, you don't have much oxygen. But if you don't breathe properly, you don't get anything at all. Okay, so you need to learn how to breathe properly. The pranayama comes quite handy. Proper relaxation. This is very, very important. Most of the time we have the assumption just saying relaxation is something that when I watch TV or when I sleep. That's not relaxation, that is the rest. What happens when you watch the TV? Physical body is resting, but the mind is going through something. Or you listen to the music, same thing. Okay? And sometimes mental wise you are resting, but physical body is going through something. Okay? The relaxation is a state where the body and mind are having the rest at the same time. That's why it's called the relaxation. Okay? Then from there we go into proper diet. We need to watch what we eat. We are what we eat. For example, you eat all the spicy food and meat and everything, doesn't matter how much you want to control your anger, it's difficult. Okay? It's true, right? It's true. So we need to be watching what we are eating. Little bit of spicy food is okay, little bit of what you call like cooked food is okay, but if you are eating like overboiled thing, like rich in content, lot of oil, lot of like things that you cannot digest, it affects the mind also. Okay? I'll just give you the example. You have a certain diet that you eat every day at home. One day you have a big party. You go there, all the rich food there, all the sweets and everything that you eat, come back, morning get up, how do you feel in the morning? You don't feel bad, you feel heavy. Is that correct or not? And that makes the mind more lethargic also. That's why you need to learn how to eat properly. But luckily, in most of the Indian like homes, we have a kind of like diet that suits our environment, that's okay. But then when it is too much of eating outside and then you are not watching what you are eating, yoga practice you get the benefits but not that many. So you need to be checking on proper diet. Okay? If you are doing proper exercise, proper breathing, proper relaxation, proper diet, from there going into positive thinking becomes easy, but they have to go hand in hand, they need to come into your daily life. Okay? So I hope that today I could share some of what I practice. Okay. If that helps is good, if that does not help, you have always sources, read more books and try to integrate them into your life, and I wish you all the best. Okay. So, I conclude now. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiv bandhanam mrityormukshemamritat. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiv bandhanam mrityormukshemamritat. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiv bandhanam mrityormukshemamritat. Om Sarvesham Swastirbhavatu, Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschik Dukhabhag Bhave, Asato Ma Satkamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritangamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. Bolo Sadguru Sivananda Maharaj ki, Swami Sivananda Maharaj ki. That's it. Om Namah Sivaya. So I thank all of you for coming. I know that you are all busy, but you just came to share something, and I hope that you got something.